Arsenal are still top of the Premier League table. The numbers say they have the best defensive record in the division. They have conceded fewer goals than anyone else. The expected goals against is among the lowest in the league. Everything on the surface suggests control, but here is the uncomfortable reality. I want to show you the goal they conceded in the 86th minute against Manchester United at the Emirates. The one that cost them 3 points was not random. I will walk you through the equalizer Brentford scored in the match Arsenal were supposed to control. That was not bad luck, and if you stay with me until the end I will show you even in the matches they won, like the 3-2 win away at Bournemouth, there were moments where their structure completely unraveled. These are not isolated mistakes. If Arsenal want to win the title, they must fix them. Or as sports viewers, before we go deeper, remember this. Many of you watch these breakdowns but are not subscribed. I understand it is easy to forget. But subscribing costs you nothing and it helps this channel grow so we can continue producing analysis at this level. Take 2 seconds and press subscribe. You lose nothing. You gain early access every time we drop something new. Arsenal are still top of the Premier League table. The numbers say they have the best defensive record in the division. They have conceded fewer goals than goal 90. Remember the seasons that forged legends? We're not just selling jerseys. We're offering a piece of history. Reconnect with the moments that defined the beautiful game. Lionel Messi mesmerizing defenders in a classic Barcelona jersey from the Guardiola era. A team that became the core of Spain's 2010 World Cup victory. To Zinedine Zidane's Real Madrid, celebrating their unprecedented third consecutive Champions League title. Followed by the formidable Bayern Munich squad dominating European football and contributing key players to Germany's 2014 World Cup win. The elegant movements of Kaká and Clarence Seedorf, their AC Milan jerseys a symbol of an era of Italian football dominance finally challenged by Jose Mourinho's tactical genius. A team that also beat Bayern Munich in a Champions League final. Each jersey in their exclusive collection is a tribute to the players and teams who made us fall in love with the sport. Don't just watch history, wear it. Click the link in the description to get yours now, while stock lasts. Goal 90. Remember the seasons that forged legends? We're not just selling jerseys, we're offering a piece of history. Reconnect with the moments that defined the beautiful game. Lionel Messi Arteta said after the Brentford game. If you want to win here you have to be really ruthless in both boxes, and today we were not. Let us start with one of those boxes, the defensive one. When Arteta talks about ruthlessness, he is talking about presence, aggression, and anticipation inside the penalty area. He is talking about moments where defenders do not react after the ball drops, they attack it before it becomes danger. Against Brentford you saw the first crack in the 21st minute. Raya misjudged a forward pass and Brentford recovered possession in a wide channel. Arsenal were not disorganized, they were set. 5 Arsenal players were positioned inside or just outside the 18-yard box. Brentford had only 3 targets. Structurally that is superiority, but as the cross came in, Brentford's forwards attacked the most dangerous corridor, the space between the penalty spot and the 6-yard line. Arsenal's defenders were marking zones that were not immediately threatening. Instead of stepping toward the first contact area, that hesitation is the difference between dominance and vulnerability. Raya was forced into a sharp save to correct an earlier mistake. The warning was clear. Then came the decisive moment. In the 78th minute, Arsenal had just scored and should have controlled the momentum. Everyone knew Brentford would target long throws. The ball entered like a cross. Arsenal again had numerical superiority, but when the first ball dropped into that central corridor, no defender attacked it with authority. Lewis Potter reacted first, while 2 Arsenal players were static watching instead of engaging. That is what Arteta meant by not being ruthless. It is not about organization, it is about mindset. In decisive seconds, when Manchester City won titles, they suffocated crosses early. When Liverpool won titles, they attacked first contact like it was a duel for survival. Arsenal are allowing second phases to breathe, and in a title race, that is a risk. And here is the thing, what you have just seen is only the surface problem, because the next issue is even more dangerous. If crosses are moments of hesitation, what happens when control disappears completely? Stay with me, because the transition weakness that cost them territory against Brentford and nearly cost them everything against Manchester United is the one opponents will target next. Arteta reacted visibly during the Manchester United match when Arsenal lost the ball high up the pitch and were suddenly exposed after the game. He admitted, We lost the ball in moments where we were not prepared to defend the next action. That sentence reveals the second weakness. Arsenal can look completely in control and then lose structure with one misplaced pass in the first half against Manchester United. Arsenal were building inside United's half. They had numbers forward, they had passing options and support. When the inside pass was intercepted, the ball was closer to United's box than Arsenal's, yet within 2 passes Bruno Fernandes released the ball forward and Arsenal were defending a 1v1 scenario. Mbeumo was running directly at the back line with only one defender recovering. That sequence did not end in a goal, but it exposed a structural imbalance. Too many players were committed ahead of the ball without one protecting the central outlet lane. The same pattern appeared in the 86th minute against Brentford at 1-1. Arsenal were chasing the game. 4 players surrounded the ball in an advanced position. When possession was lost, no one screened the first forward pass. Brentford needed one vertical ball. Thiago broke into open space with Arsenal's centre-backs backpedaling. The recovery was late but decisive. That moment should have ended the game. These are not defensive errors in the box, these are transition preparation failures. Arsenal's rest defense, the player's position behind the ball during attacks, is sometimes too optimistic against mid-table sides that might not always be punished against elite transitional teams. It will be. Now combine what we have discussed: hesitation in the box, exposure in transition, but the final problem, the one that stole 3 points at the Emirates, is the most dangerous because it happens in the heart of their identity. Arsenal want to dominate midfield, they want to control central zones, but the space they are leaving between their midfield and defensive line is the one opponents are beginning to read, and that is what we must look at next. After the Manchester United defeat, Arteta said, "We allowed too much space between our lines, and when you do that against this level of player, you get punished." That is not emotion, that is diagnosis. Watch the second goal carefully. Arsenal had 7 players positioned in front of the back 4. It looked compact, it looked organized, but when Dorgu received the ball centrally, 3 Arsenal players shifted toward him simultaneously. No one held the line. That movement opened the pocket between midfield and defense. A quick 1-2 combination removed 3 players instantly. The defensive line dropped. Instead of stepping in, Dorgu had space to strike from just outside the box. It was not about individual brilliance, it was about space between lines. The winning goal followed the same blueprint. Cunha carried the ball into the central corridor again. Arsenal's midfield collapsed inward instead of staggering their shape. A sharp combination pass split Rice and the centre-back. Suddenly Cunha was facing goal with no midfielder screening the shot. That central pocket 10 to 15 yards in front of the defensive line was empty. 2 goals, same structural gap. When midfield protection disappears, centre-backs are forced to defend space instead of attackers. That is impossible at this level. Arsenal are good enough to win the league. The table proves it, the data supports it, but titles are not lost over dominance, they are lost over recurring details. Crosses not attacked, early counters not stopped at source, space between the lines not owned with authority. If Arsenal correct these 3 structural issues, they control their destiny. If they do not, opponents already know where to strike, and in a title race decided by inches, those small spaces will decide everything. Manchester City are chasing Arsenal, but something isn't right. The possession is there. The control is there. The territory is there. And yet, in the biggest moments, City look fragile in ways we haven't seen under Pep before. This isn't about effort. It isn't about form. It's structural. There are 3 patterns quietly creeping into their performances. A press that gets bypassed too easily, attacks that stall when Haaland is tightly marked, and defensive coordination lapses that Pep himself has hinted at. I slowed the footage down, broke the patterns apart, and identified the exact player profiles that solve each issue. If you really want to understand why City feel different this season, watch the full breakdown now. Liam Rosenior has won every Premier League game since taking over at Chelsea FC, including a match where they were 2-0 down at halftime and still came back to win, something Chelsea had not done before. But that turnaround did not happen by chance. In this video I am going to break down exactly what Rosenior has changed in Chelsea's structure and build-up, how this has transformed the role of Enzo Fernandez, and how he has already fixed Chelsea's biggest problems compared to Enzo Maresca. We will go through 3 specific changes. First, how Chelsea now build from the back and why the goalkeeper has become central to everything they do. Second, how the midfield controls tempo and then deliberately breaks it to attack space. But the third change is the most important one. Because what Rosignol has done in attack is something Chelsea have not been able to do in the Premier League for years. And it is the real reason this comeback was possible. And before we go any further, a quick one. Most people watching this channel enjoy this level of tactical detail, but a lot of them are not subscribed. Subscribing costs nothing, but it helps this type of analysis reach more people who actually care about understanding football properly. To understand how all of that works, we start with the defense, because the improvement Chelsea are showing begins here. One of the clearest indicators of change